Okay. Again, appreciate you guys being on here this afternoon. Obviously, we had signing day yesterday. It was a big day for us here on the 40 acres. We were able to secure two really good signings yesterday, guys that we got a chance. Our staff did a great job evaluating and getting a chance to develop great relationships with over the recruiting period. We were able to get two really good quality players that we think that have really high ceilings in their future, near future, and think that they have a chance to be really good Longhorns for us also in the near future as well.
Thanks, Coach. Thomas Jones, go ahead, please, sir. Thomas, go ahead, please. He may be frozen. Roz, go ahead, please.
Yeah, let me unmute. Hi, Rodney.
Hey, Mark.
Do you you mentioned the other night, I think, that there was some good news involving Dylan DeSue. Does it change anything about his timetable, or can you share anything about that good news?
You know what? I think, Mark, Warren, we've got the best trainer in the country. Corey Schlesinger, we got the best strength and conditioning coach in the country. Two experts in their areas. They've done a tremendous job with DeSue to this point right now. The doctor that had a chance to work with him this summer got a chance to see everything and has been very pleased with where everything's at right now in terms of the healing process. I think now for us, we can't just rush the process. I think we have to stay the course, and we have to think long term for him for this season, and also for his professional career as well. So, again, we don't really have a timetable. We've just got some great news in terms of where that healing process is. He's already been on the floor a little bit already, not with our team yet. But hopefully at some point here over the next couple of weeks, he'll be with us on the floor, just, working his way back in just a little bit, but no timetable as to when we're going to be able to put him in actual competition.
Thank you.
Thomas Jones, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Coach, good afternoon. Hey, when you're recruiting a guy, I know you can't comment on specific recruits, but when you're recruiting like a Holland type of kid or a Cam Johnson type of kid that have these professional options, how does that change your recruiting approach, if at all?
Well, I think again, the whole art of recruiting is developing relationships, and parents are lending their kids to us with the hope that they come back better. And so in that process, you try to develop a great trusting relationship to where you can have good, honest conversations about a youngster's future. And I know for us at Texas, we're going to continue to recruit the best players in the country and the best players internationally as well, because we can, and we have a brand that has the tentacles to be able to do that. So we won't be deterred by a youngster having a chance to also, if he got really hot over the course of his season, had other opportunities that presented themselves. I think, you deal with that when that comes down the pipe.
Dennis, go ahead, please, sir.
Coach, the way you jumped in last year and you kept the program's momentum going so upward, the trajectory, does the top 10 recruiting class just continue that, just solidify that?
Well, I think again, I think you're going to only be as good as the people you have around you. I've been blessed to be able to put together a really good staff that has a lot of experience. They've, a number of different guys on our staff have recruited, lottery picks and high-level prospects. Again, having the brand that we have, we know we can recruit top 10 players in the country, and we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to try to get the best young talent along with older talent in the portal. We've had a lot of success in the portal as well, and we don't shy away from that fact that we'll continue to recruit in the portal as well. So Again, I think it's important. I think you do have to capitalize on opportunities when you've had a chance to become relevant. When years past, when I was here before and we made Elite Eight run, we made a Final Four run, you need to back that up with a good recruiting class as well.
Jeff Jones, please.
Hey, Coach. The impact new faces that we see on this roster, I'm sure it takes time to gel, and I know that y'all have started that process in the off season. But is there anything that you do at this point in the year, very early in the non-conference schedule, with the focus on gelling, or is it just time?
That's the one thing you fight, Jeff, when you bring in an influx of, we've got, basically 7 new players. We've got 5 portal guys and we have 2 freshmen that are all vying for time in our rotation. And so one thing, as you put together these yearly rosters, is you're fighting time as opposed to people that have already had rosters that are already built and, they've had some retention. But I think, again, that's why we bring them in for 8 weeks in the summer, get acclimated to our culture, the way we try to do things, both on the court, off the court. And again, ourselves and other teams around the country that recruit the portal will be a work in progress as the season goes, and every time we're able to step on the floor from a practice standpoint, from a game standpoint, we continue to grow as a team.
Joe Cook, please.
Rodney, against UIW, you allowed 0 fast break points. When you talk about getting down and guarding, you've said that a lot over the preseason in the first couple games or first game. Is that the stat that embodies it the most? And if there are others, what are some other stats that embody getting down and guarding?
Well, Joe, it's a great point. I think early on, and not only us, but a lot of teams early in their journey, as they embark on the season, a glaring area that always stands out a lot of times is transition defense. And it's not a lot of times until you get to mid-season that guys fully understand the importance of getting back on defense, protecting your paint, and also taking away threes in transition. We were playing a team the other night that really wanted to attack in transition, and in particular, they wanted to shoot a lot of threes in transition. So, really put a lot of pressure to sprint back, load our defense, and also have shooter defense. And you'll see that a lot throughout the course of the season. We saw it a lot at the end of the season when we had to play 3 teams that, played in transition and they could really shoot the basketball in transition. But that's one area. I mean, taking away threes is another area that we look at and goals that we try to set for every game. If you're able to hold a team to 30% or less 3-point shooting, man, you got a chance on any given night. We look at field goal percentage defense, being able to sit down and do a great job in that regards. And then you look at offensive rebounds. You try to take away second chance opportunities. We'll play a team Friday night that they're a pretty elite team at offensive rebounding. They had 17 in the last game against Penn State. They averaged about 16 a game, last year. So big emphasis on trying to block out and have all 5 guys rebound down.
Roger Wallace, please.
Hey, Rodney, we talked a little bit about the valuable time because of you're trying to build. Coaches understand that. Is it harder sometimes to get that message across to the players that those 40 minutes, regardless of the scoreboard, are so valuable?
Absolutely. This time of year, every minute you're on the floor is very valuable. And the points of emphasis that you're trying to strive to get across to guys, the buy-in is what you're really trying to get. We're trying to establish an identity to where every day and every game, we like to think that we're going to be able to hang our hat, that we're going to play really hard on defense. We don't have to play perfect, but we got to try to play extremely hard and really try to compete at a very high level and try to stay in stances early in the season to try to condition ourselves to be able to stay engaged for long possessions as the season goes. And it all gets down to the buy-in piece, getting guys to really try to buy into what we need them to do in their roles and try to be a star in their roles.
Harry Middleton, please.
Coach, good afternoon. So, I'm curious, you have all these elite players, and do you see them at this time in the season? The players who have gelled so well that, I'm thinking Marcus Carr and Jabari Rice, they knew each other so well, they could give themselves an eye movement and they knew where they were going. Is that happening yet in this stage of the season? And players, and how does that get developed through the season with these players?
Well, again, I think the chemistry that you have off the court, it carries over onto the court. It did take Rice a little bit in terms of adapting and adjusting. Mid-season, I think guys were on the same page in terms of, what he was capable of doing, and then he also was familiar with what our other guys were capable of doing as well. But I think every practice, every opportunity that guys get a chance to spend time with one another, whether it be on the court, off the court, guys are getting more and more familiar with one another, especially under game situations. Sometimes you can't simulate, some of the things in practice that you encounter and deal with in games. And I think that over the course of games and practices, I think our guys will get more and more familiar with one another.
JT with the Texan, go ahead, please.
Hey, Coach. Wanted to ask you about Devon Pryor, and specifically kind of what you saw from him in the last weeks and months that led you to change your mind on the redshirt decision, and then what it means for him in these first, couple weeks to be able to soak up some minutes off the bench, especially with Dylan out.
Well, Devon is like, he's like the little young Bambi a little bit. He's just, sometimes stumbling, bumbling around a little bit. As a young player, his ceiling is so high, in terms of where he's going to be able to go in the future. He's got great length. He's got great skill set for being out on the perimeter. He's put on 20 pounds since he's been here. He didn't have any summer, so he had no 8 weeks of work with the guys. He got nicked up a little bit, and he was out another 2 weeks and everything. So you literally are looking at a youngster that should be playing high school basketball right now. But again, a guy that's, very coachable, and has a unlimited potential in terms of what he brings to the table. I think he's learning the pace of the game. Every level you climb up to, the pace of the game's faster. So he's having to learn the pace of the game, going from one play to the next, offensively, defensively. But he's oozing with so much talent. It's really hard to not try to develop him and use him with this year's team. There may come a time, we're in a situation where we need his length, his athleticism, and what he brings to the table on the floor for us. So, he wanted to play this season. His parents, were in agreement to want to give him an opportunity to do it as well. And all we've done with him was really fast forward his whole process in terms of his learning curve and his growth curve for his future.
Eric Henry, please, sir.
RT, just wanted to ask you, your thoughts on the offensive efficiency through a couple games. Obviously, it's been talked about a lot, bringing in several new players. Just how you feel, the offensive efficiency is coming along this part of the season.
It'll be a work in progress, Eric. I'm more concerned with our defense right now. I do think we have a chance to be a team that flows and have guys that understand what they're looking for in terms of the way they play on offense, with the purpose. We do I think we have weapons to play inside out, so we don't have to solely rely on going into games every night, having to make X amount of threes or shoot the ball extremely well from the perimeter. We have some guys that we can throw the ball inside and get some paint touches and settle us down a little bit and score inside out. But again, I think, if we're able to finish possessions, we can get out. And I think the strength of this team is getting out and playing fast. We're athletic. We're fast. We can get up and down the floor. We want to try to play that way. But again, I think it's complete buy-in with it. We need all five guys rebounding down so we can get out and play to that first 7 seconds and give them an opportunity to try to score early in transition if possible.
Corey, go ahead, please, sir.
Hey, Coach. Just wanted to ask, something that you've been mentioning a lot is buying in, and that's something that stood out to me in the press conference with Ethiel and Caden. They mentioned wanting to buy in and trying to figure out their roles, and it kind of dates back to last year with Jabari buying into being the sixth man. How is this coaching staff able to identify not only talent, but of course the character in these guys to know that they're willing to buy in?
You know what, Corey? It's a great question for one, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of time. I mean, our guys that literally, we spend time with them on the court. We have to spend time away from them off the court. That's how you get buy-in. Last year Timmy Allen really struggled early in the year. If you guys recall, the first 5 games really struggled because we went from playing a certain way his first year to playing a whole different way his second year, and he struggled probably more than any guy returning. So that was a lot of couch time, coming in, sitting on the couch, sitting in a coach's office, sitting down talking about, really buying into being a star in his role. Here's your role right now. Maybe it was one way last year. Here's what we need you to do this year. We coach you hard. We want you to buy into this because we love you. We want you to be successful at a very high level. But it's a big relationship deal. It's a lot of talking, a lot of communication by our coaches. That our guys have to come by every day, and they've got to spend time in the defense room with Coach McLean. They've got to come by and spend time in the offense room with Coach Haight, and then they got to come down and spend some time with Coach Terry, just talking, wrapping the whole, putting the bow tie together.
Got time for 3 last follow-ups. Mark Rosner, go ahead, please.
Rodney, how do you determine how much Caden can and should play at this stage, coming off surgery? And with respect to Pryor, since he is not redshirting, do you feel like some kind of obligation to get him minutes?
No, again, I think I'll start with Caden first. Mark, we got elite professionals in our organization that deal with our guys in terms of rehabbing those guys, getting them back to the floor, understanding a timetable on what works best for those guys. And Warren's been the best. He has an incredible feel, and also just relying on his experience, and expertise. We thought we did a really good job with what we set out to do with Caden in game 1, X amount of minutes, that he could tolerate at this time right now. We'll go into game 2 with the same kind of game plan, give or take, maybe a couple more minutes here or there that he will have an opportunity to stay out on the floor and get some things done. Again, the one thing you don't want to do is just throw a youngster right out there and say, hey, we're going to go play you 20 minutes right now, play you 30 minutes, when he's not prepared to do that. And he doesn't even do that in practice every day. And so it's a gradual build up and a workup for him. And those guys have done an outstanding job, working and getting him to this point right now. So we don't look to deviate from that over the course of the next couple games. Devon Pryor, I think, again, I say to our guys all the time, players don't decide playing time. Players decide who gets playing time. They decide how much they're going to play, when they're going to play. They dictate that, not coaches. As much as we think we control that, they control that by what they do every single day. And honestly, the trust that they give you in situations in practice. We're working on special situations, and I've got 2 groups working, and I've got one group executing at a high level, and that's going to probably be the group in there when the game's on the line, if that's a rotational guy, a guy that comes off the bench and he's getting the same rep and opportunity at to work on that special situation, and he's not taking it that serious, then he probably won't be in there at that game. So just an example of they dictate when they're in the game, how long they're in the game, and at what situations are they in the game.
Terry Middleton, go ahead.
Coach, going off of what Corey asked you earlier a little bit and talking about Jabari Rice, now that he's a professional basketball player, do you have somebody who is now your new 6th man?
You know what, Terry, I like to think, and I said to our guys that, and we said this a little bit last year too, we've got 8, 9 starters on this team, 8, 9 guys that could possibly start, not only for us, possibly for other programs around the country. So, I had a talk with one of our players the other day. I don't really get caught up in who starts, who doesn't start. To me, at the end of the day, the most important guys or where you want to be, is at winning time. You want to be on that floor at winning time. You know what I mean? So it's not about where you start, it's where we finish, you know, and so don't get caught up and wrapped up in, hey, I'm starting, I'm not starting, you know. You got to be a star in your role, and when your number's called, you got to be ready for the opportunity.
Joe Cook, wrap us up, please.
Kind of going off my earlier question, I know you have a defensive background. You said Steve's kind of your defensive guy. Which player is the one you turn to when you need defensive motivation? You say, hey, let him know. Well,
I mean, on this year's team, Brock is probably our most talkative guy. He's a guy that communicates at a very high level with our guys. We always say, if you're not talking on defense, you're not playing defense. So we're still working on getting guys to buy in, how important it is to communicate at a high level. But I've challenged a couple of our guys in order for us to be a team that competes at a very high level and probably the most competitive league in the country. We have to have guys that want to see themselves being on the Big 12 all defensive team. And so, whether it's Dylan Mitchell, whether it's Tyrese Hunter, even Max Aismans, they've got to see themselves, being guys that have a chance to be on that all defensive team. We know Caden could have a possible opportunity as well as Dessou, because those guys are elite level rim protectors as well. So, we have to have a guy too that's an all Big 12 defensive player for us to be successful at the level that we want to compete.
Coach, thank you. BD, appreciate your time today. Just for a courtesy reminder, game time tomorrow got pushed back 8 o'clock. If you guys don't mind spreading the word to our fan base for that 8 o'clock tip, be greatly appreciated.
Scott, the other thing I like to say is I didn't get a chance to really talk about our new signees. I we can talk about them. We have the papers in right now and everything, and I'm excited about those guys. You talk about Cam Scott. Cam Scott's an ultra athletic, perimeter player that has a chance, again, much like Devon Pryor, has a very high ceiling. I mean, extremely athletic. It's a guy that's going to continue to shoot the ball at a good clip and have the chance with the mindset, if he wants to, try to be a good defensive player as well. But a extremely talented young prospect, coming into our program. And then when you talk about a Nick Cody, you talk about a guy that has a chance to, for one, he has great size at 6'8", as well, 6'8.5", almost 6'9". Wingspan's really good, and he's one of those guys that was kind of a late bloomer that he's gotten better and better and better over the course of the summer and into the fall, but have the chance to be a guy that is going to be the type of player that guys are going to follow, because he is a guy that communicates on the floor at a high level. He has really good ball skills for his size. He's a guy that can rebound the basketball, come down, initiate offense, and really good passing skills. A guy that can stretch the floor and shoot the three as well. And he's going to be a good player, man. Really like what Nick Cody brings to the table as well. So excited about those two guys being future Longhorns for us. And who knows, maybe between now and in the next week, Lord bless, we might add one more to the fold.
Corey, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, two-part question. First one, did you drive the Lambo to the facility yourself? And then the other one is, why do y'all feel the need to kind of show that much excitement, make a whole video for recruits coming in?
Again, this day and time, this generation, young kids, they love cars. You know what I mean? I've grown out of the car stage. I'm not a car guy anymore. I used to be a car guy back in the day, but youngsters, they literally go bananas over cars. You know what I mean? So, my staff, I've got some older guys like myself, but I've got some young guys on the staff too that understand and they connect in the recruiting world with the youngsters. And they're like, Coach, you got to do this video and you've got to get in this car and you got to do this deal. So, for me, I'm not really a flashy car guy like that. That's really not my style, my deal. But you know what? I'll do anything to have a good player. I mean, almost. I'm going to do everything by the rules, right? But I want a good player. Good players make good coaches, right? So never forget that. So I'm never trying to be too flashy or be something that I'm not. But you got to do what you got to do in the recruiting world. And in the recruiting world, young guys, they go bananas over cars like that. So we're fortunate enough to be able to get one of those and use one of those in a recruiting capacity. And think it worked out pretty good. I think all the youngsters, not only guys we have signed, but also the younger guys that we're targeting right now, they all love that whole deal too. So that's more that kind of persona than maybe my persona. So I just thought I'd make that clear for the record, right, Scott?
All right, we'll end on that one. Appreciate everybody's time. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Coach. Thanks, guys.